Hi there. My appellation is Chelsea Hatshepsut Elaru Bay El, and I am many things. But within the context of introducing this 12 Power series, I consider myself to be your affluence ambassador. I appreciate you for watching this video as I explain the prodigious necessity for this channel and share the intentions of this series and the subsequent series so you can have a better understanding of what I'm offering and why our paths cross at this particular time in history. It's my hope in this publication that certain aspects of your awareness is lit into a transformation so strong you become a powerful and unstoppable force of love on earth and beyond. So consider this an invitation into an association of affinity for your prosperity. Starting with you. We have to eliminate to elevate. If you're just beginning to recognize the truth in occultism and mysticism and starting to release the burden of Christianity and other religious creeds, this channel is for you. There are certain self-rejecting patterns and outdated religious practices that keep us small, dim, and dull and dumb. And it is my purpose to reveal where humanity needs to heal. Our only true work is self-mastery, which is the basis of Islam, despite what the dominant society will have you believe through the media. It stands for I, self, law, and master. Your emotions determine the vibration of your being, which will inevitably correspond to what your life will reflect back to you. Who you are being will reflect in what you are seeing. While I am an omnist, the dominant society has employed Christianity to anthropomorphize the higher intelligence, the divine mind, or God as most refer to that entity as. But through this series and those that follow, you will enlarge the territory of your understanding past the white man in the sky coming back to save you. Believe me, religion has its place, but I've said before, once you can ride on two wheels, you no longer need training wheels. Metaphysics and quantum science reveal to us that all is mind, and I've given examples of this truth in the 12 powers below, and will continue to provide additional examples throughout the various series to come regarding universal laws. This 12 power series will help you understand yourself as it relates to your thought patterns that you choose to entertain and how we can tap into our own power so we can master ourselves through controlling our own mind instead of allowing the government to do it for us. Speaking of government, do you really think they're our friends? How can the same governing body that supposedly controls the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, why are they even under the same umbrella in the first place? But how can the FDA keep in check the pharmaceutical companies, which directly affect each other's bottom line, which are also directly impacted by the insurance companies, which directly impact the banking industry, which affect the energy and telecommunication companies? Aren't all these divisions of government in bed together? Now, I'm no angel as it pertains to waiting for marriage, but if we loving on each other, honey, your secrets are safe with me. You think the government is any different? While I discuss your superpowers in the videos preceding this one, let's look closer at the governmental power of this corporate United States of America. Now, looking at the word government itself, the truth of that word behind the actual letters is seen before you. The etymology of govern is control, and ment is mental or mentality, which is mind. So what is that all together, folks? Mind control. The truth of the science of mind has been hidden for centuries by the dominant society, and they came to a consensus on what version of history and religion they will disperse to the public that they've enslaved under the guise of protection. Their mental manipulation began at the birth certificate, which we will discuss in upcoming series, but it continues through the Pledge of Allegiance for the next generation that the government is conditioning and grooming for the acceptance of their statutory jurisprudence. The mantra of pledging allegiance to the Republic is what has created the idea of a conspiracy theorist in the first place. They be telling you the truth. They've seen behind the veil within the land of Oz. They have followed the white rabbit to the deglamorized version of reality. And they've exited the virtual reality of the beer goggles so many people are wearing willingly nowadays. But the dominant society don't want the jig to be up, so they funnel through the media little sound bites to pervade society to discredit these modern day prophets. It was so hardwired into children daily, myself included, throughout their formative years, that they grow into adults who think it's impossible for the government to betray us. So I had to let you in on a few secrets there, which I plan on expounding soon enough, but let's further discuss the goodness that's the Verity Prosperity Clarity Project, okay? Our first presentation here of the 12 powers gets you in touch with your supernatural abilities through the lens of Christianity, since that's the most pervasive religion in this society. The meditations and reflections exercises for transformation cost, because if you don't have any skin in the game, you won't commit to the process. I know it's a bit controversial to require the payment of a fee learning spiritual principles, but in its truest essence, it's an exchange of substance and balancing of the scales, a commitment of your energy to be transformed by the energy you will absorb. And it's also basic psychology. If you don't have anything to lose, you won't take it seriously. And these proven techniques will supply you with the transformation you desire if you work the works of the program. Face it, you'll either have a well-designed life or an undesigned life. Better to have the former, wouldn't you agree? Because you'll either suffer the pain of discipline, which is an investment in your life, or you'll suffer the pain of regret, which is a depletion of your life. I set before you life and death. Choose life. The life found in the aforementioned videos and those forthcoming will empower you to rise on a spiritually economic scale, politically, educationally, and financially. The rights, your true inheritance, not these privileges granted to you within this society, but your rights as sovereign individuals will be remastered in your understanding on a global scale. You'll better comprehend the legislative language employed that keeps you dutiful to Babylon's banksters. It is imperative to the survival of my Black and brown people that this information proffered herein be shared. God within is your only source of prosperity. It is the very prosperity you seek. And here I give you 12 ways to tap into this intelligence. God wishes above all things that we prosper and be in good health, even as our soul prospers. And this knowledge within these 12 powers is to increase the wealth of your soul on the inside so you can live it through experience on the outside. Lastly, the use of R. Kelly's music is in itself controversial as well, since he has been in the news again lately with various allegations pertaining to the Time's Up movement. So let me address that. Just so you know, having been affected as well, I'm sensitive to the disparities within the media, and living from a space of neutrality, embracing the law of polarity, I'm also able to distinguish the man from his art. I am able to recognize R. Kelly as the face of an idea, rhythmically and melodically expressed. And it is this idea that is employed as an intro to the videos below. Him as an artist has required the next generation of singers to step their game up because he can sing. But because of his rituals and phallicism, I'm no longer impressed with him as a man. Nor do I buy his art. Now, many can't respect him as a man because of his choices to live out certain fetishes with his female counterparts, but we have to look at the bigger picture before we start judging. It's this particular government and the dominant society all in agreement that constitutes at what age you're an adult. And keep in mind, when it comes to my Black and brown people facing a crime at 12 or 15, they could be charged as an adult whenever the vacillating emotions of the local magistrates within this government allow. And in ancient Rome and in the history of India, brides were transactional forms of exchange of power right after they hit puberty, which was accepted at that time, and that don't affect women nowadays wanting to marry, does it? Still got them looking for Prince Charming despite his foot fetish, huh? We also have to remember there have been kings and queens who have reigned entire civilizations at the age of 13 and 15 years old. Remember the Egyptian pharaoh King Tut? And also consider Queen Mary Stuart, who reigned 2 separate nations in Scotland before 18 years old. Age does not determine maturity. The level of your education and understanding and consciousness does. Age is a subjective idea which is associated with certain beliefs about age. Again, we are all groomed from childhood to acquiesce to what this society claims as acceptable or not. That's why Kanye is being persecuted for his level of free thought, because he has removed the constraints from his mind of what this society deems normal. All truth is paradoxical, which makes it harder to accept in certain circles. Speaking of prosecute versus persecute, Doesn't it seem the prosecutors across the nation are taking a sweet little time bringing charges to these white men like Matt Lauer, Charlie Rose, Bill O'Reilly, Roy Moore, Harvey Weinstein, who has as many accusers as Bill Cosby is old, Sean Hannity, who has the same lawyer as the current 45th president, which is very suggestive to say the least. And speaking of the commander-in-chief of these corporate United States, he himself has about 20 allegations from women. But Bill Cosby and R. Kelly are getting hit the hardest? Let's be clear. In the case of Bill Cosby, this would not be the first time white women have lied on a black man regarding this type of thing. Emmett Till was much like Trayvon Martin in his day, innocent but was villainized by onlookers. The story associated with what actually happened was translated into a lie that got him killed. Well, more specifically, beat and mutilated and shot in the head, then drowned at a mere 14 years old. The story was that he spoke to a white woman at a corner store in Mississippi. She told her husband that he flirted by whistling at her, which was a big no-no during this time of this Jim Crow era. He and his brother, hell-bent on vengeance, dragged him out from his uncle's house, and they began their brutal savagery against this little boy. Decades later, the white woman came clean in an interview and said he didn't really make any advances towards her. Now, I tried to get off the government's case, but it's in the fabric of our existence, so here I go again. Just consider the timing with these racial overtones in the media. Bill Cosby getting hit all of a sudden after years. All of a sudden with these allegations after he tried to purchase a white media conglomerate, NBC. I mean, come on. It's also not the first time the dominant society has conspired against black people. Should I remind you of the Bring Back Our Girls initiative for our young melanated girls being snatched off the street in the DC area? Should I remind you of the Tuskegee Airmen's syphilis experiment lasting 40 years? Should I remind you of Henrietta Lacks, whose cells are studied and cultured and used in medical research in perpetuity worldwide? And should I remind you of the war on drugs, which is propaganda for a $51 billion a year CIA initiative that centers around systematically and strategically locking up black and brown people?
They say what makes you angry is part of your purpose. I agree.
So before you put me on blast for using rhythmic ideas which just so happen to be sung by R. Kelly being used in my videos, and black people talking about boycotting his music, check yourself as to why you're not boycotting the government. Taxes are optional, bruh. Again, these seditious and sadistic conspiracies run rampant in this society, and these examples are just what's on public record. But ain't nobody calling out the government on their systematic oppression of my melanated people all over the globe, using their fiat currency to manufacture power through propaganda and fear. I'm telling you, that mantra, the Pledge of Allegiance, got you brainwashed if you think the government is not capable of exploiting your intelligence, your energy, and your blindly following religion. That's why this channel was created, so you can recognize that itchy, heavy blanket that's hanging over your eyes, hiding the truth of reality, which can finally be pulled back so you can live in the life you would love to live, a life your ancestors wish they had, which is now available for you. Freedom from the tyranny and treason of the powers that be. It's time we stand up and claim our inheritance. Let the lies go and open the gift of your prize. A happy, fulfilling, truly liberated life. Passion took me over there for a second. But stay tuned for the next series within the Verity, Prosperity, Clarity Project, which pronounces the sovereignty within your liberty. While I was a bit verbose here, my words support the past and the future, reconciling the within and the without, getting you to see how mind relates to matter. Thanks again for watching. And I'll see you on the other side where love, light, and happiness reside. Uh-oh, you hear that beat coming? I think that's another conscious rap installment. Stay tuned to find out.